Hi, I'm Lowie. I wanted to make a video for so long to join this booktube community. I love watching people's booktube videos, and I wanted to put my own spin on this section of YouTube. I love watching them. They're so long and so in-depth and so interesting, but I kind of wanted to do my own thing where I do that same thing but do it in a more condensed format. I love watching the videos, but always feel like there's so much information about so many books that I just can't remember it all and remember to go to the library or to go to my nearest bookshop and get all the books that are suggested and recommended to me in one go. So I thought I'd do a top 3 of various things to do with books. I guess a kind of clickbaity title for this would be, oh my god, how to read without actually reading a book. But in reality, it's just like easy ways to get back into reading. My mum is a librarian and I've been brought up on books and I love them, but through my teenage years, in my rebellious stages, I did not want to read any books. So to get myself back into them, I didn't read any real books for a long time, and I thought I'd give my top 3 bits of advice for just reading, because any reading is better than no reading at all, without having to actually make the commitment to read an entire book. First of all, I would suggest listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks. They kind of are different things, but they both involve listening to words, so I'm gonna put them under the same title. The audiobook apps I use are Audible and BookBeat. BookBeat is my personal favourite because you pay $12.90 a month and you can listen to any of the books on the site and as many as you want. As a kind of, and podcasts I listen to on the podcasts I choose, like Apple app. Just to split it up in case you don't know the difference, podcasts are more like maybe a radio show. There's lots of different types. For example, Rookie Mag have a podcast, Lena Normanton, Lucy Moon and Hannah Witten have the Banging Book Club podcast. There's also political ones. For example, The Guardian does quite a lot of podcasts, as do Radio 4. They're something that I personally listen to maybe when I'm cooking or can't sleep. They can range from anything between 10 minutes and an hour and a half long. But they tend to be more non-fiction and tend to be more like a radio show is how I would describe it, whereas an audiobook is often a non-fiction or a fiction book read to you by the author or an actor. So there is like a definite difference between them. For those of you that don't know, because I kind of don't want to assume that everyone knows everything right away, but they're both really good ways to kind of listen to books, and that's a really easy and accessible way to digest new reading material without having to kind of make that commitment to sit down and read a book maybe when you don't have time because you're busy or you're not ready to like actually sit down with reading material yet. The next thing I really enjoy reading are magazines, and I've kind of got 2 examples here. This is my favourite magazine, National Geographic. This is a special supplementary copy. It's just got lots of pictures and it's really interesting and you learn new things, which is something I always enjoy. But also I read crappy magazines. Like, for example, the Sainsbury's magazine. Sainsbury's is a UK supermarket. As you can see, this was £1. It's got lots of recipes in it and also lots of pictures. It's themed every month. Really easy read because there isn't a lot to actually get through, and it even comes with fun puzzles and crosswords. So it really doesn't feel like reading, but you're still kind of like digesting information, and there's so many different stages with this. You can read like easy magazines with barely anything in them, or even comic books. It's better than not reading at all, but you can get your teeth stuck into something a little bit more highbrow like The Economist or National Geographic, for example, which is kind of like upping that scale, but also I find really productive to read because I learn so much whilst reading them. Lastly, it's the classic, the newspaper. This is the Observer. I buy this every Sunday. I have a subscription. It's the Guardian's Sunday newspaper. Guardian is a quite liberal British newspaper. It's completely free to have as an app on your phone, which I also have. I like to also have a subscription, or some people pay £5 a month to the Guardian app, because it's a completely independently run, not got any big names like Rupert Murdoch funding it. So it's slightly more biased to the left wing, but essentially it's a much more independent newspaper. So I do like to read different articles from the Guardian on my phone, and also the Observer on a Sunday, just because the articles are really nice and short and lots of pictures again, and you get to stay up to date as well. The Guardian app is particularly good, especially if you do prefer more left-wing or centrist newspapers, because it's just really, I don't know if you can see this, but it's just really easy to read, and colour coordinated for different things. You got the videos here, and there's a few adverts, but genuinely a really easy to read newspaper. Something else I would recommend is the BBC News app, because again, a more centrist view of things, and I assume if you're watching a booktube channel, you might be less inclined to go to the right wing and maybe newspapers like the Daily Mail. But I mean, if it floats your boat, it's better than not reading anything at all. But that is my top 3 ways to kind of get yourself back into reading slowly but surely, without having to kind of make the full commitment to sit down with a book. Because as much as it's kind of hard to admit, it can be really intimidating to get back into reading. And just taking those little steps and knowing that it's okay just to be reading something rather than nothing at all, I think is a really useful outlet to have. So I hope you enjoyed my little lo-fi top 3 ways to get back into reading. I'm really hoping that I can kind of make a good few videos on this site and start building a little community here. I really want to get to meet some of you, some other members of the community, and really see what this is all about. I love making new friends, and I really hope I can kind of talk to some of you. Cool.